little boy who cried wolf. We always know that the wolf does come, but it seems like the paper futures market prices are kind of disconnecting from the physical prices after all of these years. And what you're seeing really are traders rushing to secure physical metal, possibly to avoid, risk if physical shortages worsen. First of all, obviously, this is a very bullish environment for metals and could trigger more volatility. But in general, what we're seeing in silver is different than anything I've ever seen in this marketplace. So you have a guy named Daniel Gali of TD Securities, where he argues that the outflow of silver caused by the tariff arbitrage, and I don't think it's just a tariff arbitrage, that's what they want us to believe, has left inventories of freely available silver critically low. In fact, the LBMA, the London Bullion Metals Association, silver free float now stands at the lowest level in recorded history, position at or around $37.50, when they dumped a whole bunch of silver short. But now silver's over $39. These traders are freaking out and they're bleeding hard. That shows let's see here, a silver about $2.50 higher. That would be a paper price loss of pretty dang well near $1 billion in 3 days. So not only has the silver price hit its highest mark since 2011, the banks have just set a new record for the largest short position ever in the history of the COMEX market, ever. And they're underwater $1 billion in 3 days. Now, the silver EFP, which is the exchange for physical, surged by 250% in the last couple of days. What does that mean? That means that it's the cost to swap physical silver for futures has skyrocketed by 250%. This increase would signal massive stress in the silver market. It means that one buy by the insiders who know the trajectory of their business. None of that's good. At the same time, you have on the COMEX level and the LBMA level, which reeks of sophistication and inside info and money, they're ripping metal off the exchange at a level that's never been seen before, the lowest level of silver ever in the history of the LBMA, and the largest deliveries ever off the COMEX. Not a good thing. That's done by institutional traders. On our level, me and you, we see most of the retail public has no idea what a gold or silver coin is. So you look at the dichotomy. The insiders are selling equities and buying commodities and standing for delivery, while the retail public has nothing in the way of commodities and is all-time record in equities. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, so I want to read you something David Bateman wrote. He's a billionaire. Here are the reasons I invested close to $1 billion in precious metals over the past 6 months, including the purchase of 1.5% of the annual global silver supply, 12.69 million ounces. Sophistication it takes to deliver off COMEX or LBMA. You're talking the biggest money in the world, the most tied-in money in the world, the most sophisticated money in the world, the most well-informed money in the world. As he said, your grandkids don't fail them. I would say that's legit. I do. I think that's legit if things play out the way, and letting it go through the channels and pulling it off of the exchanges, which then is very transparent. By disintermediating the market, you are taking out of the equation. You see, the way that this normally works, and the reason that the bullion banks have so much sway, is that mining is very expensive. And for many years, the mining companies have really suffered with, lack of a market that was cooperating, prices that were muted, and really not much interest by the public. And so they suffered. Well, when they pull stuff out of the ground, it's very labor and cost intensive. They will call a bullion bank like JP Morgan and say, we got X amount of tons of doré. What do? They'll say, ship it to this refiner. We'll have a wire in your account in 30 minutes. So they get paid like that. They ship it off. Now it's in this. Most people don't have the patience or the ability to sit and learn from guys like you and I and get out in front of it before the price moves. So when the price goes, silver is what's called inelastic, meaning it's used in industry and it's needed in industry. It can't be substituted, but it's used in such small amounts it doesn't materially affect the price. if you have a fifth of an ounce of silver in an iPhone and silver triples, it's really not going to matter that much to the ultimate price of the iPhone. You still need it. But if more and more people notice a higher price, they all start buying it. And that is what the big players do not want, where they get shut out of the global supply because everyone runs to it. The cartel has done a great job at suppressing price, but by suppressing price in a way that, with great volatility and counterintuitive to the times, it disenfranchises people. You look at all the people who bought silver during the silver squeeze that got pissed off because it didn't do what they thought it would. And that's cartel work in action, where if you look at the 1980 peak and the 2011 peak, they were both quick peaks, right? Those two levels were maybe 1 to 2 days of trading, period, over the last
45 years,
50 years, 40 years. That's not resistance in my mind. That's just a stopping point on the way. It would signal to me there would be resistance that would be easily taken out. And once you get above 50, the sky's the limit. Now, if we just were to take the price of gold today and divide it by 45, which has pretty much been the average price of the last 150 years, if we woke up tomorrow and saw silver at, divided by 45, $79, that would be where it should be on a 150-year average basis. But as Keith will tell you, it's coming out of the ground at 6 to 1, not 45 to 1. So you can argue that price is 11 or 12 times under what it should be based upon its geologic footprint in relationship.
Little man rule. Maybe you want to reinforce that again for our audience. What is the little man rule?
Just the little guy is always late to the party and moves after it's been reinforced by the insiders. That's why so few people ever succeed in investing, because they follow the herd and the little man is part of the herd rather than stepping out on the branch all alone with the cold breeze on your shoulder. I want to mention just a couple other things while we're on the topic. And I think that, you could call this concerning for the dollar, but you could call it very bullish for precious metals, because most of the other currencies around the globe have been lowering their rates, right? And you hear Trump freaking out that Powell hasn't done it. And since the U.S. has not lowered rates, the currency in a normal situation would be rising with high rates, right? And everyone else has low rates. So more people buy dollars to, because of a strong dollar and of high interest rates, they would take advantage of that. But it's an ominous sign, in my opinion, that the dollar has been falling instead of kind of using the back door to it. And I'd love to, if we have time, explain it with the new bridge technology, just an idea that I have.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So in essence, he's threatening again, right? I'll add another 10% if any of these countries decide to, join on with the BRICS. And by the way,
hey, at least we're not doing what was done in the past, and that is, heads of states would just disappear if they joined the away, if they basically divested their interest in the U.S. dollar and said we're going to a gold-backed dollar. That usually caused an unfortunate accident. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's getting hard to do. By the way, 10 new countries have joined BRICS as official partner countries for this. This came out. Belarus, the national state of Bolivia, Kazakhstan, Cuba, Indonesia, Nigeria, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Uganda, Uzbekistan. These countries represent 55% of the world's population. 45% of get them to hold the treasury or purchase the treasury without letting rates go parabolic to compensate for that inflation. See, if you're going to buy the treasury in an inflated currency, you demand a higher rate. Well, what if you offer gold that is deliverable upon maturity, which takes the place of the interest rate? In other words, this is how you dramatically lower your borrowing costs, because gold, which has doubled the performance of the 10-year treasury, look at this year, it's up 38% and the dollar's down 10%. So if you had bought a 10-year treasury at 4.5%, you're up 2.25% so far this year, but the dollar's down 10. Gold's up almost 40. Look at last year, gold was up 40, the 10-year treasury was up 4. So in other words, gold represents the inflation hedge. Gold would represent the interest on the bond. That's why Judy can say maybe even a zero coupon bond redeemable in gold upon maturity. This is why they were, if in my mind, they're reshoring the gold. This is why George Gammon is talking about in essence, you're mitigating the pain of paying off that debt. At the same time, you're lowering the costs associated with doing it. And the downside's got to give up some gold. But if you do long enough duration, maybe by the time gold gets high enough, it's much less than we need to. I can't think of any other way they pull this off with outright default or blowing the whole system up. So could they be revaluing gold? I think so. Could they be reshoring it, like Judy says, to peg to a treasury? I think so. Only time will tell. But then again, we are on the cusp of a new monetary system. That I do believe. Lots of crazy things. And then you put it in the context of perhaps the manipulation really starting to wane or come to European Union 30%, South Africa 30%, South Korea 25%, Bangladesh 35%, Kazakhstan 25%, Philippines 20%, Cambodia 36%, Indonesia 32%, Myanmar 40%, Sri Lanka 30%, Malaysia 25%, Thailand 36%, Moldova 25%, Canada 35%, Mexico 30%, Bosnia 30%, Algeria 30%, Tunisia 25%, Brunei 25%, Serbia 35%, Japan 25%. I mean, at what point does the world, Brazil 50%, Libya 30%, Laos 40%, Iraq 30%. On every single one of these countries, he's putting massive tariffs. But remember, what does Triffin's dilemma say? You will always run trade imbalances when you are the world reserve currency. Always, because we cannot provide enough in the way of dollars to the rest of the world. They changed the law, and it's only in what can settle a COMEX contract. So it's 1,000-ounce silver bars, and 4,500 is the limit because the bars have a 10% variability either side. And in gold, it's kilo or 100-ounce bars equaling 100 ounces. So 3 kilos or 1/100, nothing else. Krugerrands, Maple Leafs, and Mexican 50 pesos are no longer reportable. And now that doesn't mean it's not your responsibility, not you, Dunnigan, but the people. It just means that Miles Franklin will not be collecting Social Security numbers on behalf of the clients and reporting via 1099. So the only thing that will trigger a 1099 any longer would be the sale of, and the reason it's 4,500 ounces is that a COMEX silver contract is 5,000 ounces or 5 1,000-ounce bars, which have a 10% variance on either side. So between 4,500 and 5,500 ounces. And then in gold, a COMEX contract is 100 ounce. Expression for me, I'm able to get a lot of things that I keep inside. I'm able to get them off my chest on your show. So I thank you for letting me do that. And for everyone else for bearing with me while I do so. It comes from the right place. I'm trying my best to continue to find information that will benefit people. And it just seems that things are getting real exciting. And I don't want to be sensational in all the things that I say. I don't want to make it seem like, yeah, you got to do this now. But I will say this, beware when someone says this time is different, but boy, I'll tell you, man, it really does feel like this time is different. I don't know if that should be a chapter in The Little Boy Who Cries Wolf. Maybe it is, that this time it's different, but it feels like this time is different. I know we're getting close to the end of the book when the wolf comes, so it may not be this time, but it sure feels like it's different than what we've seen before. So everyone, thanks for listening, and Dunnigan, thanks for
like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and enabling post notifications for more content on crypto and digital assets. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps with the YouTube algorithm and keeps the content coming. Thanks for your support. Enjoy the video.